Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the SmackDown review for the 2nd of October, 2020. And they actually did good things on this show. I don't often get to say that. They did some stupid things, but they did some things that are worth going out of your way to see. Anyway, Michael Cole opens the show. He noted they're celebrating their 1 year partnership with Fox, as if people at home care how long they've been there. Anyway, Roman Reigns comes out with Paul Heyman, and Heyman apologizes because he's nervous. He says he's known Roman Reigns since the day he was born, and Heyman says he's here to declare Roman Reigns the tribal chief of the entire WWE universe. Heyman mentions Peter Maivia, Alpha, and Reigns' father Sika. Reigns grabs the mic, says he doesn't want Heyman to refer to him that way. He says that Jimmy Uso referred to him that way, but Jay wouldn't. He calls Jay Uso out to the ring. Jay's music hits, and he comes out. He says he never gave up, and that if Jimmy hadn't thrown in the towel, he'd be champion right now. Reigns asked Uso if he thinks he's proud of what he did. He said Clash of the Champions was the worst night of his life professionally and personally. Reigns didn't want to do what he had to do, but he was just trying to get Uso an opportunity to provide for his family and get a huge payday in being in a main event. Reigns says that he has known Uso since the beginning, and that all he wanted to do is help his cousin to get to that next level. All he needed to do was acknowledge him as tribal chief. Reigns was born with the tribal chief moniker and responsibilities, and he said that he embarrassed the family and broke his heart. Uso looks at the belt on Reigns' shoulder. Reigns asked if all he cares about is the belt, and he offered Uso another shot. He said that this time it can be at Hell in a Cell, but there will be big consequences. Reigns walks off. Uso doesn't back down. Corey Graves at ringside asks what the stakes are going to be in the Hell in a Cell cage. Oh, I don't know. The danger of Hell in a Cell? Anyway, AJ Styles' music hits. He confronts Uso in the ring. Styles thinks somebody like himself should get the next title shot, and Styles makes fun of Uso for several minutes, and then Uso hits a super kick, sends him to the floor. We go to the break after Uso hits a crossbody onto Styles. Anyway, so we come back. Jey Uso defeats AJ Styles. Really good match. Uso and Styles have a better match than expected. Uso comes out with the victory, which is really surprising. I guess maybe that means there's changes in Styles' future or something. Styles continues trash talking, and Uso fires up. He's in control for a little bit. Styles regains control. Hits a knee for the near fall. Uso counters the Styles clash with a backdrop. Uso attempts a suicide dive. Styles cuts him off, and Styles gives Uso a suplex onto the announce table on the outside. We go to the break. We come back. Styles is in control again. Styles is on the receiving end of a Samoan drop. Styles avoids a super kick, and AJ hits a Pele kick. Uso sent Styles to the floor and hits a dive to the outside. Uso attempts a splash from the top. Styles gets the knees up. Styles hits the phenomenal forearm, or attempts to hit the phenomenal forearm. Uso cuts him off, hits a super kick, and Uso hits a splash from the top for the win. I wanted to cover both of these things because that's the whole segment. This is probably the best opening to SmackDown in a year. You really do wonder about Roman Reigns. Does he have some value to what he's saying? Was he really there just to help his cousin out? Does his cousin have legitimate concern about Roman Reigns changing? There's a level to this storyline that normally isn't here. This is really good. The match with AJ Styles, also phenomenally good, no pun intended, worth going out of your way to see if you're a fan of either guy. And maybe AJ's going to Raw, maybe this is just to get Jay over, who knows, but this is worth watching. They recap the ladder match from Clash of Champions. Sami Zayn cuts a promo. He discusses winning the ladder match. He said everyone expects him to gloat. He then throws the temporary Intercontinental title in the trash. He says that's where the dreams of Jeff Hardy of becoming Intercontinental Champion are going to go. And I am going to grab my phone. So we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Anyway, so that was a really good opening segment. The Sami Zayn thing also good. Otis and John Morrison's up next. They recap the angle there. This is horrible. Miz and Tucker not allowed at ringside. Squash match, poor John Morrison. He could have gone to Impact. He could have gone to AEW. He could have gone to Japan. He could have gone to the Indies. All of these would have been better career choices. Hopefully he's making really good money for being misused and miscast. Anyway, Otis nails Morrison with some hard forearms, and Otis is in control of the majority of the match. Hits a splash in the corner, follows up with a caterpillar, and hits a Vader bomb for the win. Sasha Banks is shown in the back, and they plug TakeOver coming up this Sunday night. Again, with another match that's a complete throwaway, and you feel bad for the talent. Sheamus defeats Shorty G. Big E posted a some sort of deal on Instagram. He noted the draft is coming up, and he challenges Sheamus to a Pinfalls Count Anywhere match next week on SmackDown. Squash match, Shorty G has a short-term advantage, hits a German suplex for a near fall, and Sheamus gains control, hits a couple of brogue kicks, gets the win. Kevin Owens is standing backstage, and we come back, he does the KO show. Owens, he's excited to be on SmackDown, so this could be his new home with the draft. He's wearing a Street Profits shirt, and he says he's been paying attention to SmackDown. He has a lot of questions for Alexa Bliss. Bliss comes out. They do a recap video of what's going on with her and The Fiend. Owens says he sees something different about Bliss, and Bliss isn't the happy girl that he remembers when he joined the Performance Center 5 years ago. My gosh, has it been 5 years already? Anyway, and he says a lot of what's going on with her reminds him of what's going on with Aleister Black over on Raw. Bliss noted that people could change and asked Owens if he wants to change. Owens redirects and says this isn't about him. He also says the darkness is taking over Alexa Bliss. Owens thinks he can understand what's taking over. And he also says if he can get more understanding, he'll understand what happened with his friend Aleister Black. Bliss talks about feelings she gets from The Fiend. Owens thinks The Fiend has brainwashed her. And Owens notes The Fiend is here. Fiend attacks Kevin Owens and hits the mandible claw. Bliss and The Fiend stare at each other, and Fiend and Bliss hold hands. Hey, another throwaway match, and this one's really sad because Matt Riddle's in it. Matt Riddle, Grand Metalik, and Lince Dorado with Kalisto defeat King Corbin, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura. 6-man tag team match. I say this is a waste only because Riddle should not be used as a guy who's a backdrop for the tag team story. Anyway, Caleb Braxton approaches Riddle and the Lucha House Party. Riddle point out the draft is coming up, so this might be his last time to tag with them. Hopefully, maybe he goes to Raw. That would be good for Riddle. Anyway, Braxton asked about Kalisto, who wasn't there. Dorado mocked Kalisto and said his head is too big to put his mask on. Faces get the early advantage. Dorado hits a standing drop kick. Kalisto walks out, and he is forced to the back. We go to the break. Heels are firmly in control when we return. Nakamura attempts an exploder. Metalik landed on his feet and hits a tornado DDT. Riddle with a hot tag gets a near fall on Corbin. I hope Riddle gets drafted and Corbin doesn't. That way, the Riddle and Corbin mess that's been a complete waste of Matt Riddle can be over for good, or at least for a little while. Dorado takes over and hits a handspring stunner on Nakamura. Metalik takes out Corbin with a dive. Dorado attempted another on Cesaro, but he blocks. Kalisto jumps on the apron and kicked his own team member in the face. Riddle hits the Bro Derek on Cesaro for the win. Why is Cesaro taking the loss? Why can't Corbin take the loss? No one cares about Corbin. After the match, Dorado and Kalisto argued. Riddle and Metalik broke it up. They recap Bayley and Sasha Banks. In the back, Carmella reveals herself as the mysterious blonde woman. She says she's not playing by your rules anymore, and she isn't your princess. She's untouchable unless she doesn't want to be. This doesn't make a lot of sense, but who says it has to? Anyway, Banks is out with a promo. She says she's angry at Bayley, and Bayley should have known that she didn't need medical clearance to show up and fight. Bayley, she points out that she helped Bayley keep the title for almost a year. Banks knows Bayley isn't in the arena because she's scared of her. She challenges Bayley for next week for the championship, and Banks tears off the next race. Good promo by Banks, but I wish this was 2 or 3 months down the road. I don't understand why you do such a massive angle with Sasha Banks, and then she's back to being able to wrestle within, I don't know, like less than 2 months. I remember when angles of that nature were a big deal. Anyway, so Intercontinental title match in a main event. Sami Zayn and Jeff Hardy is your main event. Not a bad match. They both work hard. They try to tell a decent story. I'm actually more into Zayn than I imagined to be. Zayn has the advantage. Hardy takes over. Zayn came out with his ribs taped up. Hardy takes advantage of this. Zayn tries to take Hardy into the exposed buckle. And Hardy jumps off the steps. Zayn moves and crashes into the barricade. We go to the break. We come back. Chinlock by Zayn. And then Zayn removes the turnbuckle pad during the entrance, we learn. That's a reasonable thought. Zayn back Hardy into the barricade. And we go back in the ring. He scores a near fall. Zayn climbs to the top. And Hardy hits a superplex. Hardy and Zayn trade shots in the middle of the ring. And Hardy takes control. Hardy hits a drop kick and a splash for near fall. And then Zayn counters with a backslide for near fall of his own. Zayn attempts the Blue Thunder Bomb, but Hardy rolls out, almost getting a pin. And Zayn hits an exploder in the corner. Zayn and Hardy fight on the top rope. Hardy shoves Zayn off, attempts a swanton. Zayn gets the knees up. Zayn attempts the haluva kick, but almost runs into the exposed buckle. Hardy goes for the twist of fate. Zayn pushes him off. Hardy almost runs into the buckle, but stops himself. Hardy rocks Zayn with a back elbow. He goes up for the whisper in the wind. Zayn grabs his leg. Hardy crashes into the exposed buckle, and Zayn crawls over. Hardy pins him. Next week, the draft begins, and Kevin Owens goes one-on-one with The Fiend. Bayley and Sasha Banks go at it. Big E takes on Sheamus in a pinfalls count anywhere match, and Otis represents himself in his court case with The Miz. That's next week's SmackDown. Actually, for for the first time in a while, SmackDown could be leading to a decent show next week. Hopefully, you enjoy more. We are finishing up the World Class 86 run. That should be up before the end of tomorrow. So keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.